Hey guys, welcome to my live stream. I'm just doing some practice today and thought I would go live. My practice a little while ago was getting kind of sloppy and I kept rushing ahead more than I should and not taking the time I needed to master each passage of this thing I'm practicing, and thought, hey, what would be a great way to do this? Share practice tips with my audience, as well as remind myself of what some of those good practice tips are. So I'm not going to be talking a lot in this video, little talking here and there. Once I explain what I'm doing and get started, and then you get to watch me kind of struggle through this thing. Not going to accomplish my goal in this practice session, but I'll make some progress towards it. So one thing I like to do is come up with things that are a little bit tricky, that I like the sound of, and then transpose them to all 12 keys. I'm not great at this. This is something, it's a skill I'm working on improving. And so this is just something I really like to do. And yeah, let's get into it. So the passage in question begins in C major. And then it modulates to C minor, kind of seamlessly, and flirts a little bit with E flat major, which is the relative major key of C minor. And then that smoothly transitions into C sharp major, and then the passage repeats in the new key. So I'll be starting in C major as the root, and this is how it goes. So we've gotten through C major, C minor, and then we've gone into C sharp major. So this is something I find very beautiful at a slow pace. And I also really like the sound of it at a faster tempo with less pedal. So with each key that I go through, my goal is to kind of master it slowly and repeat each portion of it a few times, and then be able to play it at a somewhat faster tempo. Ultimately, I'd like to be able to play it fast. I also like it an octave above fast. It's tricky. Anyways, so I think I'll start again just warming up into this. I actually just took about a 30-minute break. I'm feeling a little cold, even though I was practicing this for about an hour before. So here my goal is to kind of slow my brain waves down, get into a groove with this, and just be able to play each section really smoothly, really connect with what's happening both physically and musically. But both in terms of the patterns on the keyboard, what's happening theoretically, as well as listening. So listening being a part of it. Sometimes fall into this pattern of doing, and hashing things out, and the ears kind of turn off, and it turns into this kind of, I guess, grinding in a way that's not whole. We want to feel whole at the instrument, or at least have that feeling of wholeness in mind as the mark that we're going for in practice time. So I'm just going to be slowly playing the this in C major for a few repetitions. I'll just stick with the C major portion of it a few times. Even just the first section. Trying to do now is make sure I'm breathing and relaxing. I'm a little more nervous to be live streaming than I anticipated, so I'm finding that as I go from just being me here practicing this to practicing with people watching, that I'm getting a little more tense. I feel a little bit more like I'm on ice skates. That's a common feeling when suddenly playing in front of people, or one person even can do this. So I'm trying to make sure I'm breathing, relax, feel the fingers float from key to key, and listen. Had a moment where I actually forgot what one of the notes was in the voicing of the right hand arpeggiated pattern. In this right here, I couldn't remember if that second note was a B or a D. It's a B. When doing lots of repetitions, it's easy for muscle memory to kind of take over. And what a lot of piano students experience when they've played a piece many times and they end up in a recital, oh my gosh, my fingers are stuck. Great. Thank you, Elgato. I don't know if it's Elgato actually, but it's a whole thing with Elgato. Somebody couldn't get their stuff to work, and instead of helping them out, this person had posted a tweet about it. They just tweeted back making fun of that person. That was really nice of them, and it's really nice when when the Elgato camera link doesn't work. So thanks, Elgato. And I remember what I was going to say. In cases where the muscle memory kind of takes over and you start mentally forgetting, it's very, very important to go back and mentally refresh what those notes are rather than just try to not think and hope that your hands do the job for you. Supplementing mental memory is very important. That's feeling pretty good in my hands now. I'll do both the major passages. Feels great. On to the minor. Repeat that portion a few times. Another thing I see in my students is they'll be trying to get a passage and get it once and go, all right, got it. And my rule is you got to start somewhere when it comes to convincing someone that getting it once does not work at an instrument. You've got to get it multiple times to be able to do it reliably whenever you want to. So my first rule is minimum 3 times once you get it. And that's already kind of weak. It's good to get something many, 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 many times and then just get into a kind of groove with it. You can almost get into a trance with this sort of thing. And then your ears can open up. Start adding shadings and nuances to the timing and phrasing, just to immerse in the music that's happening. Gonna go on to the next minor section. And that includes the transition to C sharp major. missing because the first one just repeats this 4 times, and the second time it does that. I'm finding hitting that turn fast enough, I just keep missing it. And then here, it mixes up the pattern a little bit. So I like in these exercises to have those patterns be mixed up so that it challenges my memory that way. It's not too simple. There I go again. Let's try it faster to challenge the speed of my thinking here. Keep with it, Jonathan. Okay, both the minors together. So might not be as fluent as I want it to be ultimately, but I'm just going to do this C major and C minor twice, and then the second time I'm going to move into C sharp major. So what you see me doing here in this practice session is what I call microsection practicing. In this case, the microsections aren't too small. You might even just call them short sections. So I'm doing the C major has 2 parts to it of the chord progression. This is part 1. And if you were tuned in at that point, as a few people have joined in, you saw me do just that passage many times before I moved on to part 2 of the C major, which is slightly more elaborate. Before the C minor. So by practicing one section and then the next section, and then both sections together, I can use my limited brain capacity to take bite-sized pieces of this exercise one at a time. You don't need a whole plate of food in one gulp. That would be a mess, and it would be really bad. You wouldn't end up absorbing all of that nutrition, for sure. You got to chew on each bite one at a time. then you get through the whole plate. So when my students, feel challenged by a big piece, I say, well, what about the first bite of this piece? Let's just do the first measure. That's a bite. Let's chew on that for a little bit. And then linking them together into larger parts of the whole gradually leads to a mastery and an absorption of the entire song or exercise, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. So anyways, I'm actually just going to play now, go through this whole passage a couple times, and then move on to C sharp. One more time, C major. Now we're in C sharp major. Gets us to D major. So I think what we all saw there was that I handled the major section pretty well, and the second half of the minor section was where most of the work was. So I'm actually going to start by focusing on that and then link it back with the earlier sections. So here's the second half of the minor. One tricky thing there is that fingering needs to change a little bit. A lot of this exercise for me is practicing in a left-hand arpeggio that slightly exceeds an octave. So an octave being from C to C. It's a little awkward in the hand. And while another perfectly good fingering for this would be to just keep the hand in an octave and cross finger 2. I didn't want to do that with this exercise. I want this to feed into my improvisation, and a lot of the time with improvisation, the most kind of straightforward fingering within the hand without having to think about crossing fingers within one pattern is what most expressly services the spontaneous idea that arises in the moment, and I wanted to exercise that. However, there are some passages I don't want to do that fingering here, because when I'm doing it fast, this finger can get stuck in the little space here, and the tip of my fingernail can actually hook onto that, and I don't want to crack the tip of my nail when I'm playing this fast. So I have a very specific self-care reason for some of these passages wanting to just switch that passage so long as it's a white key to a black key at the top of that passage. In all other cases, I'll be doing the more than an octave hand position for that. So that's kind of tricking me up at this last section. That's a weird change in terms of left hand fingering. Very doable, but just requires some slow absorption of that. Whole minor passage. Do that a couple times. It's real slow. When I make a mistake, I have this dual impulse. One is just to keep going, and the other is to go back and work on that spot. We saw my hesitation. That's what I was experiencing. Either one, if that's your habit. So if it's a habit when you make a mistake to stop and then go back and then try to fix that spot, that's not good to do all the time, because if that's your habit and when we perform, we do what we repeat many times in practice time. And so if you can even fall into the trap of being in the middle of a performance and hit a wrong note and then try to go back and fix it. Not good. It's better just to hit the wrong note and move forward. So I think a healthy balance is generally to notice where that spot is and then go back and work on it and then patch it together with the whole. So that spot was this, remembering the second time to do this instead of just this. So I think for me at this point, the best way to practice that is by going through the whole section, because it's not about remembering that that's how that section goes. It has to do with playing through the whole thing and taking the right turn at the right moment. I'm going to do the whole passage. So anyways, we're hitting 30 minutes, and I think I said in my Facebook post, do you want to watch me struggle? And I've been very methodical about this practice session so far. I've only covered 2 keys. So to give those of you watching What You Want, if you came to watch Jonathan struggle at the piano, just for fun, I'm gonna try now to go through all the rest of the keys to wrap up here. So we finished on D major. Here we go, D major. No, that's what it is. It's F. What is it? Where am I? No, I'm in the minor section. This stuff just starts to get so jarbled going into a new key. This part. Yeah. Then we're in E flat major. Oh, this is brutal, not going back and practicing the D section. No, is this right? It's gonna be E flat. There we go. Now E flat minor. No. I can't think. No. Okay, we're in the minor section of what was E flat major. And we're on the second half. No. Why does that feel wrong? What's the original? Yeah, that's right. Okay, here we go. There we go. No, I need to make the different turn this time. Oh, this is really brutal. I did this earlier and it wasn't this bad. Oh gosh. Okay, where are we? And now we're going into E major. There are times in practice when just like pushing yourself past your mental limits, which is quite frankly what I'm doing right now. I hope for any of my students tuning in, this is really fun to watch because you probably see me in lessons seeming to like have my head wrapped around everything that I'm teaching you. But no matter how far you go, you can always find challenges to go further, and that's what I want to do. I want to be able to kind of absorb this kind of material faster than I currently can. So, the practice I did earlier was very methodical, and what I'm doing now is like kind of recklessly just pushing through the whole thing. It's like if you're a classical musician, you're going to play a big piece. It's good early on, even if you're not a great reader, just to kind of like slowly go through the whole thing so that you see everything that's happening and get some kind of feel for it, and then go back and tidy up some sections. And then every now and then try to get through the whole thing again as you gradually piece your way through it. So it's probably going to take me like 10 more minutes at least to get through the rest of the keys. So I think I'm just going to go up to, let's say, F sharp major. little starved for like just a flow experience now. So I'm just going to quickly go back to D major because that's the next one that I would have really worked on. And get into a flow with this one. Back into that breathing. Like it with a diminuendo and then a crescendo up to each chord change. With maybe some variation. I say 3 times? I'm just going to move on to minor. Do that a few times. brain's starting to give out here. I think there's a healthy pushing past limits. I find when I start to get fatigued, I know I'm winding down, so I try to just relax and push a little bit further without being too self-coercive in an unhealthy way. Next section. Few times. No. No. That's tricky. That was good. 3 times. No. One more. Try both the minor parts. Okay, I'm just do this one more time and call it a session. So some progress. I'm just continuing to wrap my head around this passage, both in terms of the memory turns within the original key, even, or any one key, and then having the flexibility to go through all 12 keys. Um, there are some people I've known who are just graced with the intelligence and talent to be able to transpose things to any key. That's not me. For me, it takes a lot of work. Eventually, I'll continue to get better at it, and that's why I'm practicing. And I hope it was fun to tune in, watch me practice. See the struggle. The struggle is real. It's a joyful struggle. Labor of love, as they say. And it requires a lot of time and consistency. So, kind of showing up to this and taking a few steps forward every day gets you a long ways over the long term. Take it from me. Last thing I want to say is if you were watching, you remember me getting tired earlier, and I said, oh, I'm just going to push through a little bit. I got a big final wave of concentration there. If you find that kicking in after you were pretty tired practicing, it usually means it's still time to take a break soon, but pushing through that limit can lead to an energizing place. So I would recommend pushing through that fatigue limit just a little bit. And then if you just still keep hitting the wall, which happens, then it's time for a break. Stop, pick it up later. But sometimes you might push through into something bigger, and things will be happening in your brain, and it's great. And then, at that point, don't just keep then pushing yourself as if that was just a phase, unless you have a huge deadline or something. Anyways, thanks for tuning in today, guys, and I'll see you in the next stream or video. While you're here, click that subscribe button. I have seen that a lot of people watching these videos are not subscribed, and it would be great to get up to 100 subscribers and get a custom URL for my YouTube channel, and just start getting a little more traffic around here. That'd be fun. All right, see ya.